You've been told that a $250 tire makes your family safer than a $90 tire. That's one of the most expensive lies in this business, because the tire bolted onto brand new BMWs and Mercedes-Benzes right off the showroom floor is a Korean brand you can buy for a fraction of what they charge for the fancy stuff. Subscribe, because the number one on this list is riding on $70,000 German cars right now. Here are 10 cheap brands that outlast the badge. General Tire. We start at number 10, and I'm coming in hot because this first one flips the whole way you look at the tire rack. General Tire, American name, been around forever, and a lot of folks treat it like the cheap stuff you settle for when the good ones are out of stock. Here's the kicker. General Tire has been owned by Continental since 1987, the German outfit that makes some of the best premium tires money can buy. Same parent company, same engineering pipeline. When you bolt on a set of Generals, you're getting Continental's know-how without paying for the Continental badge. The grabber for your truck or SUV, the Altimax for your car. Those come with treadwear warranties running up to 75,000 miles. That's not a budget number. That's a tire the manufacturer is willing to bet on. And here's the part the guy at the counter won't volunteer, because it cuts straight into his markup. A budget badge with a premium parent is the single easiest way to buy good rubber cheap. He'd rather steer you towards something with a bigger spread on it. What's coming up next is something you can check with your own two eyes the next time you walk past a rack. Cooper. Number 9, Cooper, and this one you should have a soft spot for. Cooper has been building tires in Findlay, Ohio since 1922, the same site, over 100 years. Goodyear bought the Kodak company in 2021 for $2.5 billion, so now you've got a giant standing behind the warranty, and they kept the Findlay plant running with around 1,100 people in it. Cooper shines exactly where you need a tire to be tough, haul a trailer, run gravel, load the bed down with tools and lumber. The Discover for trucks and the Cobra line for cars are built with strong sidewalls that shrug off potholes and curbs. If you live where the roads are rough and the winters chew up the asphalt, a Cooper outlasts a lot of pricey tires that were only ever designed for smooth city pavement. And here's something that surprises people. Cooper also builds tires you've seen 100 times under names you'd never connect to them. Mastercraft, Starfire, Dean, and the Arizonian tires sold through Discount Tire. Same plants, same engineering, different sticker. Now, let me teach you the one thing that'll keep you from ever overpaying again, and it's stamped right on the side of your tire, where almost nobody looks. It's called the UTQG rating. 3 pieces of information. First, the treadwear number. Runs from around 200 up past 800. Higher means it's rated to last longer. A tire rated 500 is built to wear roughly twice as long as one rated 250. Second, the traction grade. AA, AB, or C. That's wet stopping. You want A or AA, period. Third, the temperature grade. How it handles heat at speed. Learn those 3 and you can stand in any tire shop in America and know more than the kid trying to upsell you. Nexen. Number 8, Nexen. Korean brand, and here's the tell, that matters. A whole lot of brand new cars roll off the assembly line wearing them. Think about what that means. When an automaker picks a tire for a car they're about to sell you with their name on it, they're not picking it because it's cheap. They're picking it because it delivers performance, long life, and a price that pencils out across millions of vehicles, and because if it fails, the warranty claim lands on their desk, not the tire companies. The Enfera for cars and the Rodian for SUVs and trucks run quiet, last a long time, and some models carry treadwear warranties up to 80,000 miles. For somebody doing commuting and errands who wants the car to ride smooth and the tires to just disappear into the background for years, Nexen is a buy-it-and-forget-it tire. And let me hit you with something that saves real money and almost nobody says out loud. Buy the tire for how you actually drive, not for how you imagine you drive. A guy commuting 40 miles a day on the highway does not need a max performance summer tire that grips like a race car and wears out in 25,000 miles. He needs a touring all season that rides quiet and goes the distance. Works the other way too. If you see real snow, an all-weather tire saves your bacon, while a cheap summer tire turns into a hockey puck below 45 degrees. Match the tire to your roads, your weather, and your miles. And a budget brand will serve you better than a premium tire built for something you never do. Toyo. Number 7, Toyo. Japanese brand, and they're obsessed with the chemistry of the rubber itself, working the compound at the molecular level to squeeze out grip without burning through tread life. Those two things normally fight each other, but But the reason Toyo earns its spot is the open country line. If you've got a truck, a Jeep, a 4x4, the open country has a cult following for a reason. It chews up mud and gravel, holds the highway quiet, and it lasts. You see them on lifted trucks and work rigs all over this country, and Toyo doesn't only live in the dirt. The Proxys line is a genuinely good performance tire for sports cars and tuned street cars, with grip that holds its own against names charging a premium for the same stickiness. Now here's the cheapest tool in the book for knowing when your tires are done, and it costs you 1 cent. The penny test. Grab a penny, stick Lincoln's head upside down into the tread groove. If you can see the top of his head, your tread is worn past 2/32 of an inch. That tire is legally bald and dangerous in the rain. If his head disappears, you've got life left. Do it across a few grooves on each tire, because tires wear unevenly. A tire that looks fine on the outside edge can be bald on the inside where you can't see it standing up. And do it once a month, not once a year, because the difference between safe and bald can happen in a single hard winter. And here's the one almost nobody checks, and it's the one that can get you killed on a tire with perfect tread. Rubber ages whether you drive on it or not. Look at the sidewall and find the letters DAO-T, followed by a string of characters. The last 4 digits are the birth certificate, first 2 are the week, last 2 are the year. So 2319 means the 23rd week of 2019. Most manufacturers want that tire inspected around 5 to 6 years old and replaced by 10, no matter how much tread is left, because the rubber breaks down chemically from heat and oxygen over time. And if you only find 3 digits instead of 4, that tire was built before the year 2000. Get it off the car. Now here's why this matters when you're buying. Tires sit in warehouses. A shop can legally sell you a brand new tire that's been on a shelf for 3 years, and you just lost 1/3 of its usable life before you drove a mile. So when they mount your new set, walk over and read those 4 digits yourself before they go on the car. If it's more than a year or 2 old, ask for fresher stock. Most shops will swap it without an argument, but only if you ask. Yokohama. Number 6, Yokohama. And this is where the value starts getting silly. Yokohama isn't some no-name outfit. They've been a serious player in motorsport and original equipment for decades, supplying automakers and running in pro racing series. So when you put a set on your Camry or your pickup, you're getting a company that competes at the highest level, sold to you at grocery store prices. The Avid line is a long-wearing touring tire with treadwear ratings up near the top of the scale, and the Geolandar line for trucks and SUVs balances off-road bite against a quiet highway ride. This is a brand that's been quietly handing drivers more miles per dollar than almost anybody, and most people walk right past it reaching for a name they saw in a commercial. Now here's where I'm gonna ruffle some feathers, because this goes against what every salesman tells you. People get hung up on the mileage warranty. 80,000 miles, 90,000 miles. They treat that number like a promise carved in stone. Let me pull the curtain back. That warranty is prorated and buried in fine print. To collect on it, you generally have to prove you rotated every 5,000 miles with receipts, kept your alignment perfect, and the payout comes back pennies on the dollar. The warranty number is half marketing. What actually tells you how long a tire lasts is that UTQG treadwear rating I showed you, plus real owner reviews on a site like Tire Rack where people log their actual mileage. Trust the number stamped on the tire and the people who've run them. And if you do want that warranty as a backup, register your tires with the manufacturer inside the window they give you, usually 30 days. Almost nobody does it, and it's the first thing they check when you file a claim. Number 5, Kumho. Korean brand that earned its respect the hard way. Here's the tell. Kumho builds factory tires for major automakers, which means a car company put them through thousands of hours of testing before hanging their name on a vehicle wearing them. The Exta for performance and the Krugen for SUVs are honest, predictable tires that do exactly what you ask and hold up through the miles. For the driver who wants to step up from the cheapest thing on the rack without jumping into premium money, Kumho is the sweet spot. Solid grip, long life, fair price, no drama. And a lot of Kumho models carry a strong UTQG treadwear rating right there on the sidewall, which, like I taught you, is the number that actually tells you something, instead of warranty fine print you'll never collect on. And while we're talking money, let me kill an upsell you've probably been pitched. The nitrogen fill. The shop offers to fill your tires with nitrogen instead of regular air for 30 or 40 bucks, swearing your pressure will stay rock steady. Here's the truth. Regular air is already 78% nitrogen. The benefit of going to pure matters to race teams and aircraft. where half a pound of pressure changes lap times. On your daily driver, it's a rounding error. Fill them with free air at the gas station and check them once a month. That $40 belongs in your pocket, not theirs. And since we're on air, cheap tires only stay cheap if you take care of them, and pressure is the whole ball game. See that little horseshoe-shaped light on your dash? The one with the exclamation point in the middle? That's your tire pressure monitoring system. When it comes on, it usually means a tire has dropped roughly 25% below where it should be. People drive around on that light for weeks. Here's what those weeks cost you. An underinflated tire rolls on its outer edges instead of flat across the tread, so it wears those edges off, fast and unevenly. It flexes more, which builds heat, which is what actually causes blowouts. And it burns extra fuel the entire time, because your engine is fighting the rolling resistance. Now here's the part people get backwards. The correct pressure is on the sticker inside your driver's door jamb, not the big number molded into the tire sidewall. That sidewall number is the maximum the tire can physically hold, not what your car wants. Two completely different things. And inflating to the sidewall number rides hard and wears the center strip right out of your tread. Check them cold before you've driven on them, because driving heats the air and gives you a false high reading. 5 minutes a month and your budget tires will outlast tires costing twice as much. Number 4, Nokian. And if you live anywhere it snows, lean in for this one. Nokian comes out of Finland, a country that basically invented the winter tire, and they build them at a plant in Tennessee. Nobody on Earth understands cold, ice, and snow like these folks do. Their all-weather tires carry the 3-peak mountain snowflake symbol, and that's the certification that actually means something for severe snow. Which brings me to a mistake that costs people real money. That M+S stamp, mud and snow, that you see on a huge number of tires, it doesn't mean the tire was tested in snow at all. It's a description of the tread pattern, not a performance certification. The mark you want is that little mountain with the snowflake inside it. That one was tested and certified for severe winter conditions. If you're driving through real winters, look for the mountain, not the M+S. And while we're reading sidewalls, there's one more code on there that shops use to upsell you, and knowing it puts the power back on your side. After the tire size, you'll see a number and a letter, something like 94H or 100T. The number is the load index, which is how much weight that tire is rated to carry. The letter is the speed rating. T is good to 118 miles an hour. H is a 130. V is 149. Here's how that gets used against you. A salesman looks up your car, sees it came from the factory with a V-rated tire, and tells you that's what you have to buy. And V-rated tires cost more and generally wear faster because the softer compound that grips at 149 miles an hour doesn't last as long as one built for normal speeds. Now, you should never go below what the manufacturer specified, because the rating ties into how the car handles and it can matter for insurance. But you also shouldn't let anybody upsell you into a higher rating than your car came with. You are not going to outrun an H-rated tire on your commute. Match the placard, don't exceed it, and don't let anybody talk you past it. And never go below the load index on a truck or SUV. That one isn't about speed, that's about whether the tire can carry what you're hauling. And let me clear up the other confusion here. A dedicated winter tire grips better than anything when it's truly nasty, but you're storing a second set and paying to swap them twice a year. An all-weather tire carrying that snowflake gives you most of the winter bite while running all year. For most drivers outside the worst snow country, that's the smarter buy. You skip the second set, you skip the swap fees, and you're still covered when the first storm hits. Falken number 3, Falken, Japanese brand, and they grew up on the racetrack. Motorsport has been their laboratory for years, and that heritage shows up in how their street tires grip. But the reason Falken lands this high for a lot of American drivers is the Wild Peak line. If you run a truck or an SUV off the beaten path, the Wild Peak has a following you would not believe. It claws through mud, handles snow, stays quiet on the highway, and costs a good bit less than the premium off-road names everybody name drops. You'll see Wild Peaks on overlanding rigs, on daily driver trucks, on Jeeps built for the weekend, because the people who actually use their trucks figured out the value years ago. On the car side, the ZX and a Zenith give you real performance grip for the money. And here's a habit that stretches any set of tires further, and it's free or close to it. Rotate them every 5,000 to 7,000 miles. Every other oil change works as a rule of thumb. Your fronts and rears wear at different rates. especially on a front-wheel drive car where the fronts do the steering, the braking, and the pulling all at once. Move them around and they wear evenly, which means you replace all 4 at the same time instead of 2 now and 2 later. Most shops will do it for next to nothing, and some throw it in free if you bought the tires there. And rotation only works if the alignment underneath it is right, which brings me to the single most expensive mistake I see people make with tires. You can buy the best tire on this list, rotate it religiously, keep the pressure perfect, and still destroy the set in 30,000 miles if your alignment is out. Here's what bad alignment does. It drags the tire slightly sideways every single foot you drive. Not enough to feel in the steering wheel, just enough to scrub rubber off one edge continuously. So here's how you catch it before it costs you a set. Run your hand across the tread, from the inside edge to the outside. If it feels smooth in one direction and like a saw blade in the other, that's feathering, that's alignment. If one edge is visibly lower than the other, that's camber wear. And if the center strip is worn while both edges look fine, that's overinflation, not alignment. And alignment runs you around $100. A set of tires you scrubbed out early runs $400 to $800. Get it checked when you put new tires on, and check it again if you hit a serious pothole or curb. That's not an upsell, that's the one shop service that actually pays for itself. Before we get to the top 3, hit subscribe right now, because the number 1 tire on this list is bolted onto $70,000 German cars off the factory floor, and once you know what to look for on the sidewall, you'll be able to prove it to yourself standing in the shop. Vredestein. Number 2, Vredestein. Dutch brand, and this is the one almost nobody in America has on their radar. Vredestein is owned by Apollo Tires, and they've been building tires in the Netherlands since 1909. Their Quatrack all-weather line carries that 3-peak mountain snowflake I told you about, and it's built for exactly the kind of weather most of this country actually gets. Cold, wet winters that aren't quite Minnesota, hot summers, and everything in between. Here's why it belongs on this list. Vredestein spent decades as a European specialist brand, which means their all-weather engineering is generations deep, and because the name means nothing to most American buyers, the price never inflated the way it did for the brands with Super Bowl ads. Same tire, no name tags. If you're running an all-weather setup and you want something that isn't the obvious choice, this is where the money hides. BF Goodrich. Before the number 1 bonus pick nobody puts on these lists, BF Goodrich, and I know somebody's already typing that BFG isn't cheap. Hear me out. BF Goodrich is owned by Michelin. Same parent, same research pipeline, and the all-terrain TA has been the benchmark truck tire in this country for decades, the one other brands get compared against. You're buying Michelin engineering with a different name on the sidewall, and you're paying meaningfully less for it than the equivalent Michelin. That's the whole trick of this list in one tire. The badge is the product. The rubber underneath came out of the same building. And before we crown number 1, here's how to actually buy these, because it'll save you another chunk. Buy online through a place like Tire Rack or Discount Tire, then have a local shop mount and balance them. You'll often save $100 or more on a full set versus buying off the shop wall, and you get to read every owner review before you commit. And whatever you do, don't buy used tires to save a few dollars. You have no idea what they've been through, how old the rubber actually is, or whether they've been plug patched 5 times. New budget tires beat used premium tires every day of the week. Here's another money trap, and it hits BMW and Mercedes owners especially hard. A lot of those German cars come from the factory on run-flat tires, the ones engineered to keep rolling for a few miles after a puncture, which is why many of them don't even carry a spare. Run-flats cost a small fortune to replace, easily double a standard tire, because the reinforced sidewall that lets them run flat is expensive to build. What most owners never realize is you can often switch to standard tires from one of the brands on this list. As long as you toss a tire repair kit or a compact spare in the trunk, you'll save hundreds per set, and you'll usually get a smoother, quieter ride out of it, because those stiff, run-flat sidewalls transmit every seam in the road straight into the cabin. Talk to a good shop about whether your specific car can make the swap. And one last timing tip that saves real cash. Tire deals cluster in spring and fall, when manufacturers run rebates to clear inventory ahead of the season change. If your tread is getting low in July, it's often worth limping into the fall sales instead of buying at full price in the middle of summer. A set of 4 with a $100 rebate stacked on top of already cheap pricing is how you actually walk away winning. Hankook. And here we are. Number 1, Hankook. Korean brand. and flat out the best bang for your buck on the market right now. Here's the proof, and almost nobody tells you this part straight. Hankook comes bolted onto brand new premium German cars from the factory. BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Audi, Porsche. They're an original equipment supplier to more than 50 automakers across hundreds of vehicle models. They were the OE supplier on the Mercedes-Benz S-Class across all markets. That's Mercedes' flagship, and they supply the BMW i4. And here's the shop tip that lets you prove it to yourself. Those factory-approved tires carry a code on the sidewall. MO means Mercedes Original, a star means BMW. N0 through N4 is Porsche, AO is Audi. Those aren't decoration. A tire has to clear up to 50 separate criteria on safety, precision, and comfort before Mercedes lets that MO go on the sidewall. Sit with that for a second. The most demanding car companies on the planet, the ones staking their entire reputation on every car that leaves the factory, they picked Hankook for their flagship models. Not to save a few bucks on a $70,000 car, because the tire performs at the level those cars demand. And you can walk into any shop in America and buy that same brand for a fraction of what the equivalent premium name charges. The Ventus for performance, the Kinergy for daily driving. And Hankook backs them with a treadwear warranty running up to 90,000 miles, one of the longest in the entire industry. That's the whole game. You're not paying for rubber when you buy the expensive badge. You're paying for the commercial, so let's run it back so it sticks. If you tow or haul or beat up your truck, General or Cooper. If you go off-road, Toyo Open Country or Falken Wild Peak. If you want maximum miles for minimum money, Yokohama. If you live where it snows hard, Nokian. If you want to step up from the cheap rack without paying premium, Kumho or Nexen. If you want a truck tire that's Michelin underneath, BF Goodrich. All weather without the name tax, Vredestein. And if you want the best tire you can buy for the least money, the one riding on brand new luxury cars, Hankook, with your eyes closed. And remember the 3 moves that make you the smartest person in the tire shop. Read the UTQG rating stamped on the sidewall. Buy online and have a local shop mount them. And trust real owner mileage over a warranty number on a brochure. One critical warning before we wrap, and it only applies to some of you. But if it's you, it's a big deal. If you drive all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, a Subaru, a lot of SUVs, a 4x4 truck, you generally have to replace all 4 tires at the same time, same brand, same model. Here's why. On those systems, a tire with more tread has a slightly bigger diameter, so it spins at a different speed than the others. Over time, that difference can cook the differential, or the transfer case. That's a repair well into 4 figures. So even when only 1 tire goes bad on an all-wheel drive rig, budget for all 4. Good news is, 4 of these affordable brands still costs less than 2 premium tires. You're not buying safety when you pay double. You're buying a logo and a TV commercial, and the rubber underneath often came out of the same factory. Multiply that savings across every set you'll ever buy, and it's thousands of dollars. So tell me, what are you running right now? And did they treat you right? Drop it in the comments, I read every one. Next, the brake pads that destroy your rotors. Thanks for watching.